Hello there. So I'm sort of in between lawyer Ann and farmer Ann. It's the middle of a busy day, and I wanted to take a second and take off my sooty jacket and say hello before I have to get back to work. I do have a funny picture of a lawyer Ann. So yeah, another time, another place. But the flavor components, interesting aspect. We're just getting dialed in as an industry. The demarcations aren't even clarified. There's a real global push to raise awareness with buyers, like, and not buyers like buyers of mass quantities of chocolates, but consumers, citizens, people like you, that you don't know what you don't know. And there's a real push on a global level to educate people about how do you know what is good chocolate or exceptional chocolate. And when I get asked that question, I say lean into South American beans. They're more responsibly raised. They're usually traced. The uncommon cocoa is a wonderful source if you want to know exactly what brands know their farmers and value their farmers. We need to be responsible consumers. The cocoa beans coming out of Africa, we know them to be, at least some farms are using child slave labor to harvest. Cacao is a labor-intensive crop. It takes a lot of effort. You're harvesting every 3 weeks, and you have to crack every pod by hand and scoop out the wet beans. They're then fermented for 5 to 7 days. They're then dried for 7 to 10 days in my region where it's very humid. It takes 2 weeks after you pull the pod off the plant to get the bean to a stable place where you can ship it to chocolate makers. There's with technology being more accessible and more available, a lot of cooperatives in regions where there are a lot of farmers that are gathering their beans together to process them, or they're processing them on their farm and bringing them together. These cooperatives are able to trace at least that this was this group of farmers on these bags of beans that are going to a maker in New York City or San Francisco or Seattle, that they can then assert those chocolate bar makers or chocolate confection makers can then say responsibly, I know that the farms where I'm buying my chocolate beans from are ethical, they're family farms, no one is being forced into labor, and they're being fairly compensated. Well, now, fairly compensated is a higher hurdle, and I'm working currently, I have founded with some other conscientious farmers, the South Kona Farmers Cooperative, or co-op, and we're pushing for all farmers to get paid more. Unfortunately, in the marijuana industry, I learned the food supply chain truism that it's not the farmers and it's not the retailers that are making the most money, it's the processors. And that is true in chocolate. It's the people that are doing the fermenting and the drying that are making way more than the farmers. And then, the chocolate makers have a lot of overhead. And I don't know if their percentage profitability is distorted. But I just wanted to speak a little bit on ethical sourcing your chocolate. And there's more in my book and a couple of speaking engagements that we're working on getting up on my website that expound more on those standards. But as far as good tasting chocolate, South America and of course Hawaii, which is the only state in the United States that is growing commercial quantities of chocolate. I know that there's a territory, I think it's Guam, that also grows chocolate. So I don't want to rule them out. Maybe Puerto Rico too. But as far as states, it's Hawaii. So I will talk to you more again soon. It's back to work here.